Let me be very specific about what we are actually talking about when we say financial freedom, because this phrase gets used so loosely in personal finance content that it has almost lost its meaning entirely. Financial freedom does not mean being rich in some vague, abstract sense. It does not mean yachts or private jets or never thinking about money again. For most people, financial freedom means something much more concrete and much more attainable than any of that. Financial freedom is the point at which your passive income, the income generated by your investments and assets rather than your time and labor, equals or exceeds your monthly expenses. That is the whole definition. When your investments generate enough money per month to cover what your life costs, work becomes optional. You can still work if you want to. Many people who reach financial freedom continue working because they enjoy it, because it gives them structure, because they like contributing to something, but you do not have to work to keep the lights on. The income comes whether you show up or not. For most Americans, the monthly expenses we are talking about are somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 per month. Not a lavish lifestyle, not private school tuitions and vacation homes, just a normal, comfortable life. Rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, transportation, healthcare, some entertainment, that range. Which means the investment portfolio needed to generate financial freedom for most people is somewhere between $600,000 and $1,200,000. That is not an amount of money to sneeze at. It requires real discipline and real time, but it is also not a fantasy number that only lottery winners and tech founders can reach. It is a mathematically achievable goal for a significant percentage of the American workforce that will never reach it. Today, we are going to talk honestly about exactly why and what the people who do reach it do differently. Before we get into it, subscribe if you want honest conversations about money that actually go somewhere useful. We cover this every week. The first and most fundamental reason that most people never reach financial freedom is something I call the invisible finish line problem. And it is both the simplest and the most overlooked barrier of everything we will discuss today. If someone told you to run a race but refused to tell you where the finish line was, training appropriately, or even knowing whether you were making meaningful progress, slow down to a walk and eventually question why you started the race at all. The absence of a visible destination makes sustained effort nearly impossible for most people. This is exactly the financial position most Americans are in. The specific portfolio size at which their investment income would exceed their monthly expenses, and they would never have to work again. What is that number exactly for their specific life? Most people cannot answer. They have a vague sense that they need a lot of money. They know they should be saving more. They have heard the word retirement. But the specific calculated number, the finish line, they have never sat down and actually worked it out. And you absolutely cannot run consistently and with purpose toward a finish line you cannot see. The calculation to find your number takes about 10 minutes. Add up your monthly expenses. Multiply by 12 to get your annual spending. Multiply that number by 25, based on the standard 4% safe withdrawal rate that we discussed in an earlier video. The second reason most people never reach financial freedom is inconsistency. Compounding has a ruthless and unforgiving relationship with time and interruption. Let me show you what this means with a real comparison. Person A invests $500 every single month for 30 years. They never miss a month, not during market crashes, not during personal financial stress periods. The money goes in automatically every month like a utility payment at 8% average annual returns. Person B starts strong, contributes $1,000 per month for the first couple of years, then stops for a while because life got complicated and the market was scary. Then restarts at $500 per month. Takes money out when they need a new car, increases contributions during good income years, and stops in bad ones. They end up contributing a similar total dollar amount to Person A over the same 30 years, just spread inconsistently. Person A ends up with considerably more wealth than Person B, despite contributing at half the monthly rate during the consistent years. The reason is that compounding is severely disrupted by interruption. Every time you stop contributing, every time you withdraw money from your investment account, every time you miss months of contributions, you are not just losing the amount you did not put in. You are losing all the future compounding that would have grown on top of that amount. You are removing rungs from a ladder that was built to carry you upward for decades. The people who reach financial freedom almost universally describe one behavior they were absolutely rigid about. They never stopped contributing. Not during the financial crisis of 2008. Not during the pandemic crash of 2020. Not during the market volatility of 2022. The contributions went in automatically every single month, and they left the investments alone. The third reason is lifestyle absorption, which we covered in depth in the Lifestyle Creep video. But in the specific context of financial freedom, here is how it plays out. When income goes up, most people's savings rate stays flat or actually decreases as a percentage. Raises and promotions get absorbed by lifestyle upgrades. The extra $200 per month from a raise becomes a slightly nicer car payment or higher rent. And the gap between what could have been invested and what actually was invested compounds against you over decades in a way that is very hard to recover from. The path to financial freedom requires protecting your savings rate with the same seriousness as you would protect your job or your health. Not the dollar amount, the percentage. Whatever percentage of your income you are currently investing, that percentage should grow slightly with every raise, not shrink. Now, here is the point that genuinely surprises people when they hear it for the first time. Income is not the primary barrier to financial freedom. This sounds counterintuitive. More money should mean a faster path to freedom, right? And in isolation, yes, higher income helps. But the income variable rarely operates in isolation. High incomes come with high lifestyles. High lifestyles absorb high incomes. And a person spending 90% of a $200,000 salary reaches financial freedom no faster than a person spending 90% of a $60,000 salary, because what matters is the gap between what you earn and what you invest, not the gross income itself. Here is the math that makes this undeniable. A household earning $60,000 per year, saving 20% of their income, and investing it consistently at 8% returns for 30 years accumulates approximately $900,000. $60,000 per year, 20% savings rate, 30 years. Financial freedom. The formula works. The math has worked for generations. The barrier is almost never the income. The barrier is the behavior. Here's what the people who actually reach financial freedom do, regardless of their income level. And they do not panic during market downturns, because they understand that the only way to lock in a loss is to sell during one, and that the market has recovered from every single downturn in its history. None of these require extraordinary income. None require special financial knowledge beyond what you are learning right now. They require clarity about the destination, consistency in the behavior, and a willingness to choose a specific future freedom over a vague present comfort. Financial freedom is not out of reach for most people. It is simply down a path that most people walk for a few weeks, feel like they are making no progress because the early years of compounding are genuinely unrewarding, and then wander off of because there are no guardrails, no cheering crowd, and no visible finish line to orient them. Define the finish line. Start running. Do not stop. That is the entire playbook. It fits in 3 sentences. The execution of those 3 sentences is a lifetime of consistent behavior, but it starts right now with the number.